I've had a few interviews, but see what happens. I don't. I'm kind of gotten to the point where I don't bake a whole lot in them.
I'm with
All right, there we are. We are live again. As y'all saw, that I was already live, but I'm here again with a good friend, Coach Carlos Bryson. We're gonna talk a little bit just in general. He's gonna share insight about the AAU world and just about basketball in general. Um, Let me go ahead and I'm gonna ask you the first question that I always ask everybody because I like to have that funny question that everybody starts out with. What was that first whooping as a coach that you took that made it realize that you had to work at what you were doing?
Yeah, so for me, it was about 7 years ago when we started back in this travel ball AAU arena. I had been away. When I graduated college, I went into corporate America, and 10, 12 years in corporate America. Had kids, didn't want to trust anybody with my kids, so we started up the program, and it was had no clue what travel ball had evolved into, right? So we form a little local team, and we go up to Charlotte. It's a lot of heavy hitters up in Charlotte. I'm not going to name any names, but we played against one of the more accredited programs, and we got beat probably 60-10, 60-8, something like that. And the parents, they were like, "What are we doing?" And for me, I understood what it was. Our kids were being reintroduced into basketball outside of the YMCA, the rec league, the church league. So it just really, for me, it was an opportunity to show, one, it was a challenge. And then two, it was an opportunity for our kids to say, okay, this is our starting point. This is where we're starting. And we just grow from here. And, that team, again, well-coached, highly skilled team at a young age. These kids, 10, 11 years old, right? Right. So once we got our butts kicked, we went back to the gym. That was in April of, I would say, 2014. By June of 2014, we were competing with those same kids. So just a testament to hard work, But that was the first time, we really understood, for me as a coach, what it was going to take to kind of talk to kids, gain their buy-in, create an environment, hard work, discipline, dedication, all those things, for sure.
What actually made you get into coaching, and how long have you been coaching?
Been coaching for about 20 years. It's funny though. It's funny, Jay, because after I got out of college, I said I went into corporate America, right? So this is around 97, 98. I coached my younger brother's team, phenomenal athlete, Bryson, two-sport athlete. Had some kids out of Lawrence. That's where I'm from, Lawrence, South Carolina. And that team had recently lost in the upper state championship against a Lexington team, Lexington, South Carolina. They had just beat, I think it was Aiken, with Tony Kitchens on that team, and took that same group of kids, no credentials, right? I knew all the kids. We grew up in the same town, knew their brothers. So I'm going to rent a van. We're going to go play in the South Carolina AAU. So went and played in the South Carolina AAU. We won the 17 and under division. Same year, I think it was hosted. Nationals was hosted in Virginia. Ron Curry, I think that was his senior year. So I've been coaching about 20 years. And then I mentioned corporate America because that's an everyday thing. Very similar, right? The business side. You're coaching, you're developing, you're training. But with regards to basketball, I've been doing that, say, on and off for about 20 years. Most recently, the last stint for about 8 years now. So real fun, man, real fun. Getting to, learn families, learn parents, get to know people here in the community, getting to, pour into these kids, give them some gems, if you will, as I see it, things that I've learned that I can pass on to them. So that's what we're doing.
With that, you started Next Level. So how did you build the culture around Next Level? Because I know that you got you're on the Adidas gauntlet now. So how did you build the culture to get it to where it is now?
It was, so just to be transparent. So a buddy of mine, Larry Davis, a lot, that name, resounds throughout South Carolina.
Yeah.
Really good coach, really good basketball player. So didn't know him. We knew some mutual individuals. I reached out to him. He had twin boys. I had twin boys. And that's where we both under the same, understanding. We didn't want anyone just teaching our kids the game of basketball. We understand the foundation is the most important part. So that was our self-interest, right? We had our kids, and that's what kind of got us back into, playing travel basketball. So what we did was we just took a bunch of athletic football kids. This is, Rock Hill, notorious for football. So we just took a bunch of athletic kids and started teaching them basketball. And, after that, we just continued to build, and didn't have any expectations. But, good news travels fast, just like bad news. And so one of the things that we did was we just created you say culture. We created an environment where kids could come learn the game of basketball. And for me, Jay, what I call is the flower pot. We don't try to go fish in ponds that are too big for us, right? Especially starting out with a group of kids that have a limited skill set, who are new to the game, but we want to build their confidence up. So I call it the flower pot. I like to make a lot of analogies. So for me, a flower pot is, the parents giving us these kids their seeds, and we're going to put them in the controlled environment where they can grow. We're going to give them the right amount of sun, the right amount of water, so they can grow. Now, on the flip side of that, we tell the parents, don't try to take them out of this flower pot too soon. Because if you go put them and plant them in the backyard, somebody might mistake them for a weed and you get cut, the lawnmower run them over.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the kind of culture that, we create, one that's, real instructive. We teach hard work, dedication to your craft, whatever it is you want to be good at, you have to put in time. There's no substitute for time, dedication to what it is that you're doing. So, and then just really, being true to who you are. Don't try to be something you're not. We teach it early. We let the kids gravitate to what they do well. If kids can shoot coming in, we just nurture that along a little bit more. Some kids are a little bit more athletic, rebounders, so they find their own positions, right? So we try to create a culture that's diverse. Because a lot of times what I see is people create cultures and the culture will choke out their program. They're so strict with regards to what it is that they're doing that they don't allow the program to grow and take on another version of itself, so to say. So that's kind of what our culture is about, a diverse culture, really allowing kids to grow. It's their paintbrush. We allow them to paint, right? So, and we're just there to nurture them along.
So here's a question from Facebook. What has been the most challenging thing you faced as an AAU director?
Creating understanding with parents. That's the thing. Like I mentioned before, oftentimes, parents don't have an understanding coming in as to what it is. When we started the program, I knew, because we won't say there was no one else doing it, but the level that we wanted to get to, it's always about money, right? So the first thing was we wanted to be low-cost providers. We wanted to give you more for less. So we created, or I came up with the price point that was very attractive to the parents, right? So once we got to that point and created buy-in, we start bringing kids along and we start having different levels of success. And once parents see that success and their kid starts to show a little bit of promise, there's suitors out there that rightfully so, we want their kids, they want their kids to take that next step. And sometimes it may be premature. The kids may not be ready for that, but the parents don't know any better, right? So my job, I feel like, is to educate them, to give them the information, and then they have to make the decision based on the information we give them. So that's the biggest challenge for me, is just making sure parents get good information, they trust the information we're giving them, and then just understand that their child is on the team. So we create and build teams once we do that, everybody's depending on each other up to a certain point. So
let's talk about business part of it, so to speak. Not necessarily getting into price points, but talk about, like, as an AAU director, if you were a parent looking for take your AAU, let me change that. Take your AAU director hat off for a second. If you're a parent that's looking for an AAU program, what would be your advice to that parent? And then after that question, how are you going to, well, I'll get into that. Go ahead. Just answer that one first. Then I'll ask the other one.
So the question again is, what would be my first steps in looking for a program?
You're a parent looking for an AAU program. Say you were not an AAU director, but you're looking for a program to put your kid in. What's the first thing that you're looking for as it comes to that?
Some consistency. We're not looking for someone that, even though I was in that position, I started a program, so I relied on people to trust in me and in my messaging. But just to find someone who's been around for a while, who's shown consistency as it relates to teaching the game. Because, for me, as a parent, I understand the process, right? I really do. With anything, I'm a process-oriented guy. So if you commit to a process, you're going to get the results you're looking for. So for me, I'm going to look for those programs out there that have shown consistency as it relates to longevity, been around 5, 7. That's going to, help me with my trust issues, right? That lets me know that they're not here today, going tomorrow. And then I'm going to look at, how they perform, what they're teaching the kids. So, I would ask, do you mind if I come to a couple of your practices? Putting my director hat back on, we always invite parents in free of charge to come in and look and see, to kind of see if we're what they're looking for, right? So if someone is willing to allow you to do that, that's probably a good sign. Come in, take a look at what we have, do some window shopping. And then if you like what you see, let's talk about next steps. And if you don't, we understand. And we'll still be here for a resource, as a resource for you. So that's what we look for.
How important is it to make sure that kids are playing in live events? Because I know this is South Carolina, there's a lot of AAU teams between South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. And a lot of them some of them are here today and gone tomorrow. And a lot of them are charging these $1,000 and $1,200, and they're only playing, let's just say the team's in Greenville, they're only playing in Greenville, and as far as they go, maybe it's to Charlotte. And there's nobody sitting on the baseline. There's nobody talking to your coach, and you've paid this $1,500 and then you get nothing out of it. So talk about how important it is to be in front of college coaches in live events.
Right. So our oldest group right now, we had a taste of that last year. And, for me, I understand the game, right? So first of all, you have the tournament directors. What I would like to see as I'm moving more and more into these live period events is if the NCAA is going to regulate something, what I would like for them to do is, regulate what these tournament directors are promoting, right? So every tournament in a live event is saying we have college coaches here. Well, there should be some type of, validation. All right, last year, how many coaches were here? How many kids got offers? So those are the things that, on another side that I would like to see. But as far as going to those events, it's very important, making sure that, you have a good relationship of sorts built up with the tournament directors, because college coaches are already following certain kids. And for us, we understand that we may or may not have kids that are on somebody's radar. So we just want to create some interference. We want to just get in the way. So when we go play at a live event, we want to say, hey, we want to play against certain teams. Don't just put us in the back gym somewhere playing. It's 25 courts. Well, regardless of how many college coaches are there, it's not enough college coaches to see every kid playing on every court. So we want to create that interference. We ask, for that from the tournament directors, and that, our name is not as synonymous as some of these other names. However, or around shoe teams, I should say, shoe sponsored teams and things like that. However, we have a resume that we've built, and we can say, hey, this is what we've done over the past 2 years, 3 years. We're not braggadocious or anything like that, but our kids can play. They can compete with whomever within their respective age groups. So we would like that same opportunity. So that's what I would encourage parents to make sure that their directors, have those relationships, or asking the right questions, and then making sure their kids are getting those opportunities. And then more importantly, they're prepared. They're prepared to play in that environment. So those are some of the things that, that I would encourage parents from a parent standpoint.
What do you, as a coach and director, what is your favorite event to go and put your kids in?
Didn't get a chance. We had planned to go to Hoop Scene this year. But we were down, we were down at May the Hoops last year with our rising ninth grade team, which was a really good event for our kids. We did a Phenom here. Phenom Hoops was okay for our 10th grade kids. One of the things I wish we had done was played up a level. Just because, again, when you have those kids coming from that ninth grade level, the college coaches are really going to be looking at those juniors and those seniors, right? So the Phenom event is definitely something, you should look into. Hoop Scene. Then you got the Bob Givens, those type tournaments, but you can't be everywhere. So one of the things, I'm a practical person, right? So for me, it didn't make sense to fly to California to Vegas, because more than likely the kids that we have, as I see it, they're going to be recruited regionally. So we want to get in the way of those regional coaches and try to say, hey, here's some kids regionally that, you can recruit. Very seldom, as I see it, do you see kids from South Carolina on the California roster. You have a better experience at it than I do.
Oh, I went out there because I knew somebody. So I can agree with you, because nobody on my roster was from, I had a Philly guy, I was from South Carolina, and we had a Florida kid, and everybody else was California.
Right. So, and for me, the practicality of that is, if you're recruiting California and you start recruiting outside of California, then the California kids are going to be like, hey, what about us? So you risk the chance of losing those kids as they come through the pipeline. So for me, I just like to take that practical approach. And, you see schools around here, won't name any names, won't put any addresses on anything right now. But you wonder how some of these kids slip through the cracks. I see some of your guests talk about, South Carolina. South Carolina's always had good basketball players. As far back as when I played, and even before me, on the ladies' side as well as the men's side, so, Columbia claims the Mecca. We respect that. But, the upstate's had a fair share of players too. I'm from the upstate, you know what I mean? So, and we still got a lot of good players coming through, i.e. the McGowans. I played with his dad, some AAU travel ball. Then the support, man, guys our age, what's happened is, in my eyes, is we're now the torch carriers, right? So it's more 40 to 45-year-old guys who played in the early 90s, mid 90s, teaching these kids the game of basketball. So it's only natural that the game is going to be a better product. And you're seeing that product now in South Carolina with a lot of these kids come through. We can name names all day long, but you talk about the Mike Minifields back in the day at Southside, the Merle Coles, right? I had a chance to play travel ball with Shane McCravey, the Titus Sheltons of the world. Shaman was at Southside. It goes on and on, man. I had a younger brother that played with, with Garnett and Gallman and all these guys, younger guys, Griffin, so guys that could really hoop. Then I went to Upstate, played, for Coach Waters at Upstate. You talk about guys like Ulysses Hackett, who's from, OW. God bless the dead. You're talking about Willis Woodruff.
Oh, yeah. Willis.
So guys.
Willis groomed me coming up.
Right. So about that wreck over there in Spartanburg.
Lee Sauter, Willis Woodruff. Yeah. I know all about all that.
Yeah, man. So, the state is rich in just athletics overall. And I think basketball, has always kind of been a little brother to football. But I think it's here, man. It's growing. You talk of these, rising sophomore and junior classes. There's some kids that can play. We have some in our program. My younger sons, I feel like they're coming along. They're coming along. They're growing. I was a late bloomer. I feel like they're going to be late bloomers, right? Got kids like, Derek Barksdale, Wayman Jenneret, these some names that you'll be hearing in the very near future if you haven't already heard about them. A lot of our kids, are over at South Point, and then we have some over at Northwestern that we support, and then just really throughout, York County. But I feel real good about the state of basketball. For me as a fan, I just like to see good basketball, So definitely.
Well, talk about, I forgot my other question. I probably should have went ahead and asked it. Talk about the state of AAU right now with COVID-19 affecting everything at the moment. Do you feel like we're going to have AAU?
I got so many different thoughts on that. I don't think we will. It won't be the same. I don't think anything will be the same as we move forward. Right? It's just so many different details that have to be worked out. You're talking about state-specific rules. States are opening up at different points in time. You're talking about kids traveling from other states. You're talking about parents' level of comfort. You're talking about parents not being able to maybe be part of the events. It's going to be a different dynamic. And for me, one of the things, Jay, I try not to do is I try not to spend a whole lot of time or energy worrying about stuff I can't control. You know what I mean? Preparation is key, so we'll be prepared as we can be. I tell the kids to do individual workouts, keep their cardio up, keep a ball in their hand, do some, calisthenics, whatever you have, make the best out of what you have, so that when things do come back around, when we do start playing, you'll be prepared. And if we don't get an AAU season this year, that's what it is, and that's all. What do? You keep moving forward. So that for me, that's, I don't like to get caught up in the, keeping my fingers crossed and all that. We just take it day by day. What I'm hearing is, maybe mid-June, like I said, the states are, like I said, starting to loosen up. I'm on conference calls with different state agencies, if you will, and different county boards and visitors bureaus, and I'm hearing different things. So it just depends on the sport. And basketball right now, I think is going to be in one of the later phases that is when it's time to open up, that'll be impacted. So definitely that. Yeah, for sure.
Talk about individual workouts. How important is individual workouts and skill development to you? I'm gonna step up for a second. I gotta do something over here, but you can just.
Yeah, you good. So as far as individual workouts go, individual workouts are important, but they're not as important as situational basketball for me. Definitely like situational basketball over individual workouts. You need individual workouts, but I grew up playing the game. We got better playing the game. I've heard different coaches talk about, some of the things that they do. And one of the things that stuck with me was Coach Patino. I'm sorry, not Coach Patino, Coach Cal at Kentucky. He said, we just let them play. He was like, you get better by playing. If you got a bunch of guys, who can play, and that you put them in an environment where they're constantly bumping and grinding against each other, they're going to get better. And you get a chance to maybe control some scrimmages, control play, and teach at the same time. Right. Definitely, individual workouts give you a chance to, improve your skill set. Definitely you got to be able to shoot the ball. You got to be able to dribble the ball and pass the ball. So those are skills that you definitely need to play the game, but it has to be a good balance between skill sets and then situational basketball, which I think we do a really, really good job of teaching situational basketball. For sure.
So in your practices, you put your guys through 5-on-5, and then do you work certain situations of a game, put a team down 5, 2 minutes to play, and see how they respond, or how do you do that?
Yeah, so during the season we start off, we do a lot of conditioning through playing. We do our drill. The drill work that we do is, full court drill work, again, focused on situations. We like to get up and down. We definitely, our style of play within our program is we pick up, play defense. I try and teach the kids a lot. I throw a lot at them, knowing that everything won't stick. But within the practices, we definitely do that. If we're heading into a tournament, we'll do a couple of plays, but I like motion. A lot of guys right now, a lot of programs, teams, they focus on the ball screen. I just like simple, motion for the kids because it forces them to understand how to make decisions. Moving without the ball. A lot of times kids watch, games at a higher level and there's a lot of standing and they don't understand the game behind the game with some of the more complex offenses, right? But the ball screens and learning how to come off a ball screen, if you're the ball handler, how to read that screen, read the defense, second level, third level, so forth and so on. So for me, we really just focus on some situations, travel basketball, especially with our younger groups. A lot of teams like to press and create offense through their defense. So the first things that we teach is how to break a press, right? And once you do that, you give your kids an advantage, right? So that's what we focus on, breaking presses, truly understanding, okay, after you're out of that press now, let's play basketball a little bit, don't like the slow down game, but we like to teach the game. I'm very, very, I was taught by guys like Mark Freeze over at Lawrence, and then who later went to Dorman, and then Coach Jerry Waters. Old school guys, disciplinary, defense first guys. So those are some of the principles that I hold on to. But I'm definitely understanding now it's an offense-driven sport, if you will. Defense still is gonna, you got to be your calling card, but offense, kids enjoy. It's like in football, nobody wants to go 2 running backs anymore. It's 5 out. So you want to create an environment that's fun for the kids. They get to shoot the ball. We don't limit kids. If you work on it, you can do it. For example, one-handed passes. If you don't work on it, don't do it. But if you work on making one-handed passes in practice, I have no problem with you making one-handed passes in the game because it's something you worked on. So that's kind of the motto. If you work on it, do it. If you don't. Keeping it simple, keeping it practical, for sure. For sure.
What is your offensive philosophy? Do you space it out and let your kids play out of the pick and roll, give them freelance, give them freedom? What do you do?
Oh, man, we play. We just play. We let them play. Constant movement, moving without the ball. Everybody should be able to handle the ball on our team, from the standpoint, some kids can handle it better than others. However, even if you consider our big man, we don't have any 6'8", 6'9", right? But if we have 6'4", 6'5" kid, you got to be understand if you can't dribble yet, because we practice that. We do practice that skill with them. How to take 1 or 2 dribbles, relieve pressure, how to hit a backdoor pass, how to make, passes over the top of the defense, those type things. But as far as style of play, we just really put our kids in position to let them play. Go play. I'm trying to get our kids and the parents. Everybody wants to look good and buy the expensive. I don't care if we go play in practice uniforms. You know what I mean? That's the mindset. It's for me because that's all it is glorified practice. Going to play in these tournaments, if you treat it like a practice and you're going to get better and you play a certain way, you'll get something out of it. That's the mindset that I like our kids to have, and that's what they adopt. You know what I mean? So as far as style of play, we roll the ball out. We teach. We don't handicap the kids. And, we give them some guidance along the way, for sure.
So do you necessarily believe in teaching and coaching positionless basketball?
Yep, no doubt. No doubt. Positionless basketball is the key. Like I said, we work on all kids taking shots all over the floor at all 3 levels, right? You got to be able to finish at the goal. And the thing is, again, you can't learn it all at once. So, I'll use my boys as examples. They're pretty good catch and shoot. Now for me, their goal is to become better creating with the ball. You have to have some individual creativity to your game because people are going to run you off of that spot. Now, can you make a move to the goal, finish at the goal, and make a play for somebody else? So it's a lot of all of the above, right? You want to make sure kids have the skill set to be able to catch and shoot, mid-range, finish at the goal, and then, knock down 3-pointers too. So that's where the game is, and you want the kids to be able to do that.
What matchup last year during AAU was that matchup that either you won or it made you say, my team is now ready?
I I'll go with our my rising ninth grade group. We had a really good ninth grade group last year. We played in Made Hoops down in Augusta and played against a Drive Nation team that was pretty good. And we were undersized at every position. One of the things is we don't have any reclasses on our team in our program. So a lot of times, like I said, we're playing younger kids that are smaller at every position. And we ended up losing by like 4 points. But again, that let us know, and we put some people on notice. Like, we here, we beat a Boo Williams team. That was a big win for us. He was coaching that team. It was a tournament here in Charlotte with Coach Addy over with director of team Loaded 704. He's a real good person that I've grown to know, a good resource. And, we like to play in his tournaments because there's some good competition there. So we typically go there every year as, getting suited and getting ready for some of these live and larger events. And they just happened to be down, and our team ended up winning the, I think it was the Rumble is the tournament that we won. So again, we like to play any and everybody, understanding that, we're not really taking wins and losses. We're not keeping inventory on wins and losses. Are we getting better? One of the guys I didn't mention, I apologize. You had him as a guest, Coach Fair. Coach Fair was also a brother, and he started the program. He helped me and Larry start the program back in 2014. And, Coach Fair, I said it before he won the state championship, he's one of the best coaches, as I see it, in the state. I don't know everybody, so it's biased, right? But and I say that because I think he has the best balance of old school principles and new school rules, right? He allows the kids to play. The kids love him, but they play hard for him, and he's going to give them freedom. But he's also going to teach them the game, teach them to play at a high level, playing on both ends of the court. So I think he's going to be one of the up and coming coaches over the next several years. And you better get me a position if you move on up.
What is the best piece of advice you can give as it pertains to AAU for parents that may see this?
Just know it's a process. Don't buy into rankings. It can be discouraging to kids. If it's a top 10 ranking, that only means it's a spot for 10 kids. So you can't tell me that somebody has enough knowledge of every kid in the entire state to rank kids. Of course, there are kids that stand out, but it's debatable, right? A lot of times you see the politics of it where, some of the writers and publishers, they have relationships with some of the other programs. And, for me, I call it what it is. We don't back down easy, but that's, you got to be, if you're going to be objective, be objective. Don't keep kids out of rankings for some reason that's not about their skill. Let it be because some kid is truly better than them. I understand kids projecting out, right? You got a 6'6", 6'7" freshman. He can project out, but what about that kid? We're talking about if you're ranking them, rank them now, right? So if you got a 6'2" or 6'3" that can play, don't leave that kid out. But it can be motivation for those same kids, right? And for the parents, like I said, don't get caught up in that. Just continue to support your kid, and don't be too hard on them. Because as parents, I see that a lot as a parent myself. A lot of times, as we're teaching these kids, we expect them to know things that they very well may not know. Some kids' IQ is off the charts at an early age. And then other kids, you bring your own experiences, like, you should know that. And the fact of the matter is, they don't. And that's why we're here. We got to teach them. They're not going to see the things that you see as somebody who's played and been around this game for 20 years or 30 years. So you got to have definitely a level of patience as parents, as coaches. That has to be the case. You have to have a certain level of patience for these kids. So,
one last question. Well, two questions left. How do you help the kids with their recruiting process?
Simply just reaching out to coaches, building relationships. Again, credibility. You have to be credible. I think for me that's very important. It's one of the agreements, right? You have to be impeccable with your word. So if you tell a coach, you reach out to a coach and say, hey, coach, I got a kid that can play, and I feel like he can play on this level. If it's a Division III level, Division II level, Division I level, you want to give an honest assessment when reaching out and building these relationships with these coaches. You know what I mean? So that's the thing that we do. I work hard for the kids. We'll continue to do so. You know, we got some kids coming up. We got a 7th grade group of kids that nobody knows about. We got a 6'9" kid that's never played basketball right here in the city. And nobody's encouraged the kid to say, hey, you want to play basketball? I saw the kid one time. Like, you want to play basketball? He's like, yeah, 6'9", 9th grader. And I was looking forward to working with him over the next couple of years, and really seeing, you know, what I'm capable of doing. You know, taking him on as a challenge. He's got a younger brother who's a 7th grader, about 6'3". He'll probably be 6'8", 6'9", who can play. So definitely got a good crop of 6th, 7th grade kids coming through to go along with some of our older kids. You know, you lose kids. Sometimes you trick kids. But that's just part of the process. And, you know, you got other kids out there. There's no shortage of kids. No shortage of kids, for sure. So I know one of the things that I've heard on your show, you know, you ask these guys, does the player make the coach or the coach make the player?
That was coming next.
Hey, it's the players, man. It's the players. The players make the coaches, man. I mean, who we kidding? Straight up. If not, why we have tryouts? Why we spend so much money recruiting?
Right.
Right.
Hey, Alex told me to tell you that Marcus was better than him and you, and his Sal and his cousin would have the 3-on-3 tournaments back in '96 in Lawrence.
Look, man, tell Fair, man, hey, enjoy his championship. Hey, enjoy your championship, Fair. We're gonna leave it at that. No doubt, man. But I definitely appreciate you you bringing me on, man. If for any parents that are out there that, you know, are in the Chester, Lancaster, York, South Charlotte area, looking for your kids a place where they can grow, for sure. We'd like for you to give us a look, you know, next level. We've been around now 6 years. You know, I think we've gained the respect of teams and programs in the area, boys and girls. We're going to be here, so definitely give us a look. Trying to get Coach Jay to come over, and you know he keep reneging on me. So, but that's another story for another day. we want to get this girls program rocking and rolling all the way up and down. So, and then we can claim we the best organization in the state, because I don't see anybody doing it on both sides, you know, like that. I really don't. So we want to be the first to do it on both sides. You know, so invite is always open, for sure.
Gotcha. I appreciate you joining me today. I'm going to take us off live, and my link is now on my Facebook page for Full Court Press with Coach Jay on YouTube. Like it, go view it. Let me know what you think. If you got any questions, drop them on this live feed, and then I'll get them out to Coach Carlos. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.